Thank you guys so much for being here. We are the Pop Culture Philosophers. For those of you who do not know, we are a podcast, a YouTube channel. We're about comic books, movies, pop culture, all that jazz, and a whole lot more. We do live streams, we do comic book reviews, we do movie reviews, we do a podcast. The podcast is coming back in May with our superhero movies podcast. I'm super excited. It's going to be me, Justin Drew, and John Hammertime Holshoe, who is not with us this evening. He's up on the moon. That's where we sent him. Just like an umbrella
with a gorilla body.
Yes, with a gorilla body. And that's why he's kind of shy. Anyway, thank you guys so much for being here. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups. This is Bodacious Brooks. This is Jammin' Jeremie Day. This is Justified Justin Goldsmith. And that's Dashing Drew Madsen. So what we're going to do is just kind of do a little fun Q&A pop culture thing like we did last year. You guys remember it? So I'm really eager to know who's going to... It's hot in here.
It's a little warm. It's a little warm.
Who's got a question? Anything about pop culture? Oh, man.
I do.
What's up, buddy? Chuck.
Okay. Now, I don't know if any of you are into any Disney-esque things.
Absolutely.
We love Disney.
I love Disney.
But how do you feel about when Disney is like trying to remake all their animated movies into live-action adaptations? How does it make you feel when they do that?
I like it. I don't mind it at all. So far, I haven't really been that impressed personally with some of the movies. I thought Jungle Book was okay. I did not like Maleficent whatsoever. I'm very surprised they're doing another one of those. I'm actually pumped for Aladdin. I mean, honestly.
Which probably might have the most polarizing reaction just based on the genie.
Yeah, and I'm super,
that was
super
going to be
pumped.
a tough guy to replace anyway.
But I'm really, really pumped for Lion King. Because Lion King looks, now I don't know if we can call that a live action adaptation, but
yeah.
Lion King looks amazing. What do you guys think?
Dude, I'm looking forward to Lion King, but I actually haven't watched any of the live action remakes because I just don't really want to. Because I don't know, looking at them, I'm not interested, I guess.
Brooks and I are going to be watching Dumbo at the end of the month. Doing a PCP movie review for that one. What do you think?
The idea that things what he's asking about, like, how do we feel about them making remakes?
I like it. That's what I said.
I like the idea. A lot of people are like, don't mess with the classics or something like that, but they're still there.
Yeah,
so
right?
why not add another thing that could be good?
It's different seeing those stories in theaters, which is one thing because you could do streaming, you could get a DVD of Aladdin and play it at home. But to say you have a kid and you take them to see a theater and see this one, because they don't re-release the cartoons in theaters as much. If you re-release it, even though it may look different than what you saw, it's like they're still getting that same story.
Yeah.
It's like
with the theatrical experience.
Yeah, with the theatrical, because seeing a giant, it's like I can show you the world up on a giant screen is much different.
How did that go? Do that again.
I'm not gonna. I can do that. I can do that line. If I have to keep going throughout the entire song, I'm gonna start squeaking.
There's nothing wrong with that. No, I like it. Just like I don't mind that when they adapt comic books and stuff like that. I think it's a great idea. Anything to get more people into these stories, that'd be cool, right?
Okay.
All right. Good question, though.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anything but who else? Number 2. Yes, in the back.
Hey Robbie, so I've heard recently a rumor that Marvel may cease publishing itself and license its properties out to other publishers. So if that were to occur, what do you think the impact would be on other comic publishers? Do you think that's something that Disney is really truly contemplating?
Number 1, that's nothing that they're actually contemplating. As far as I'm aware, that is totally just some kind of bogus, like misleading headline. That was it, comicbook.com.
Yeah,
can't be trusted.
Fake news.
even worse.
Oh, okay. Cosmic Book Club. Yeah, that's fake news.
Yeah, that sounds like
I've seen a bunch of writers like retweet. It's like, this is the stupidest. It's like, this is absurd.
But if they did something like that, I mean, Marvel's a pretty big deal. So if Marvel did something, they're kind of them and DC are like leaders in the industry. So if they ever did anything like that, then maybe other people would follow suit. The small ones would still be there. I think comic books are fine, though. They're going to keep publishing these things. We made it through the late 90s. I think we can make it through the next 10 years or so. That's just me. Absolutely. That's what I think. But it would be terrible for them to do that. Absolutely. Yes, voice.
Thanks for acknowledging that. But,
I was going to say, you said it. There it goes.
But given that this sort of related to the overall question regarding the fate of the industry, I think if there's one thing that many people tend to discuss around the comes to the overall problems nowadays. Is like, what do you think is the biggest problem facing comic book stores, and why they tend to go out of business more than they should?
I think the biggest problem facing comic book stores is diamond distribution.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think the distribution practices are terrible. It's basically a monopoly that nobody cares about. That's been ignored for like over 20-something years. Comic shops, if they want to sell comics, they have to get them through Diamond. There used to be more variety. There used to be heroes and all that stuff. So that's a big problem. The incentive program with places like Marvel, where they make comic shops over-order books that they can't sell in order to get a special cover, that if they don't have that cover, then they lose customers because they get upset about it. So I think that the incentive cover practice and just the fact that Diamond distribution is the only, they got like such a stranglehold on the retailer community, I think that's really, really bad.
Yeah, you know, and the thing is, like, when I watched SF Debris' series called Rise and Fall of the Comics Empire, one of the infamous stories he mentioned was how one distributor ended up going out of business because of a faulty phone line that they had when they were basically trying to operate phone calls with distribution stuff.
Yeah.
Because apparently, as like SF Debris said, anybody who has worked with computers knows how poor ventilation can tend to catch these things on fire, and really the whole phone system ended up caught on fire, and they eventually ended up going out of business like that.
Yeah, that's another problem with the industry too, is fires.
Well, improper care of.
Yeah.
Is there anything fire can't
Using
ruin?
low technology for stuff that you really should want to take care of.
Yeah, so I think those are some of the biggest problems is retailers get put in really bad positions sometimes, having to overspend on comics that they can't sell, and they do this to like boost up their numbers. So it's nice for Marvel to be like, well, we sold 500,000 copies of this. Well, 200,000 of those were to Loot Crate, and then the other ones are just still sitting on shelves, you know.
And sometimes, granted, people kind of say that the only driving force for Marvel tends to usually come from motion pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that keeps the industry going. It keeps those characters alive, and I think that's important. The video games, the movies, the animated series, and all that stuff. One thing that I don't think is a problem at all is the quality of the books that are being published today. I really do believe that we are in one of the most creatively diverse and awesome time for comic books. There's literally something for everyone, even outside of superheroes. There's great science fiction books, there's great fantasy books, there's just so much content out there. And maybe that's another thing that a lot of people is like, with Marvel, like maybe they're doing too much content and it kind of swallows up some of the other titles. So, but there's so much variety out there right now,
And
more than ever.
and the best thing about social media is that, and this is like how I kind of have this sort of sentiment I have with the gaming industry. Like, the only reason why we never really had a second crash yet is because for one thing, social media ends up increasing word of mouth.
Yeah.
And when you have word of mouth, the word is basically out there. What's the reception regarding this certain product? That alone is what can be considered the driving force for the industry in order to make sure they won't prevent like their companies going out of business. Because it can at least give them a chance to rethink their strategy and think of what they can basically do to get those customers back.
Yeah, absolutely. Good question. Anybody else? Yes, sir. The voice.
To follow up, Wes's question, TKO just released a whole bunch of books. And they're skipping Diamond.
Yeah.
Do you see other independent books, maybe like Vault, or even the biggest independent Image, following suit the way TKO is?
I think it'd be kind of
Can you
cool.
explain TKO?
TKO's got this really neat business model where they are completely skipping Diamond, and they're dealing directly to the retailers and directly to the consumers. And so they're producing these books. For instance, they released this book called Sarah, that's Steve Lieber and Garth Ennis, and it's gorgeous. It's beautiful, right? And when they release them, it's kind of like how Netflix, you know, puts the whole season out all at once. They put all 6 issues out at once. You buy it in a collected edition, or like a trade paperback, or digitally, or you get like a box set that has the 6 individual issues. I could see other people kind of like doing things like that. Vault's been doing some cool things where you can go on their website and actually reserve copies on their website, and it sends it to Diamond, which sends it to us, which lets us know to order that book for them. So I would like to see more kind of stuff like that, but I would like to see more creators and more companies going around Diamond like that. And TKO, for instance, they offer retailers a really good deal, and even better than Diamond at certain points. But if you haven't checked out any TKO stuff, in the next couple weeks I'll be having a lot of reviews on the YouTube channel about those.
That could be huge. Like if Image decided to just create their they would have to invest in it obviously, but if they had their own like printing service, like they just took over distribution, they're big enough to where they could handle it.
Yeah.
And it's like it would be an investment, but they could make a killing just skipping out on Diamond entirely. And how much they charge.
And think about the digital industry, like that skips Diamond. So like they're being able to like through Comixology directly put that stuff out to the consumers, which I think is cool. Of course, you know, print comics is even better.
Yeah.
You know.
Please buy
Still buy print.
Trade paperbacks, you know, as long as they smell good.
Yeah.
No comic books smell better than Vault. I'm
Because they always
telling
have
you.
good stories.
I'm telling you, Vault comics smells. I'm not even kidding.
You need to smell one sometime. You never
You
smell
should,
one.
yeah.
Just get in there.
I wish I had some. Just get it in there.
Give it a good sniff.
Anybody else? Let's keep it going. Yes, James.
Well, I'd love to get your guys' opinion on this. I'm putting together a series of videos on originality versus adaptions and then remakes and reboots and all that stuff. About how in so many different cases you can, even with original ideas and such, you can have good ideas and terrible ideas. So, but how there's a bigger bankable strategy when making remakes and stuff like that, because you're banking on nostalgia and familiarity and such.
Yeah.
So, what do you guys think about the whole debate between originality versus nostalgia?
Drew? Justin?
See, here's the thing. You can have I think it is easier to throw an original idea and have it be received better. Because I think the floor for an adaptation is higher, but the ceiling for originality is much higher. Because if you throw in the adaptation, it's like you have nostalgia. So if I see a bad I liked Aquaman, but if I see a bad Aquaman movie, it's Aquaman. I'm gonna like it. It's like it doesn't matter. It's like it could.
Why are you looking at me? Like
I'm not because you're the #1 Aquaman fan I know.
It's like
And so
judging
it's
you.
like, but I'm just throwing that character out there because he came out recently. But if you have a brand new character no one's ever heard of, no one may go see that movie because they don't know what it's about. But if it's a great movie, everyone's gonna say like, this is incredible. This is the best new idea we've seen in years. That's why I think the ceiling is much higher for originality, but the safe, like, money-making option, like, secure option would be the adaptation.
I would like to see, especially in the cinemas, more original content. But then again, like some of my favorite movies are based on a book, like Blade Runner's based on a Philip K. Dick book, and
Scarface was 1940s.
exactly, you know, lots of remakes. You know, Star Wars is a lot of like Kurosawa bits kind of thrown together in a space.
Flash Gordon.
Well, yeah, you know, so I mean, I just ultimately, I want a good movie, but I would like to see more originality. I really like good original stories that push, because, right?
Whenever this
It's
gets
hard to
brought
get
up,
originality these days because, like, you know, there's so many stories that we have, and like, you know, that like kind of, you know, gets into your subconscious.
But
When
that's
you're
why
trying to
you
make
just
something
mix
original, you're always going to have something in there from, like, you know,
It's close,
you
yeah.
can see from stories that you've had, like they've been passed down
Yeah.
for years and years.
like, whenever this gets brought up, nobody really takes into account there were tons of movies that came out last year that
There were
that
several,
not a lot of people
yeah.
watched.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
just us, I guess, that, you know, we are the consumers. We can like
Yeah.
choose which
It's
ones
like,
are going to be.
I'm dumb. If it's like if something's like, oh, I've heard of that, I'm gonna go see it. If it's like if I haven't heard of it, I'm not gonna hear
Yeah.
about it until it's like on like a best of list at the end of the year, and then I'll see it and be like, damn, I missed out on this.
And it's like music. When you're trying to find new music, you look through the genre and find a new artist or something like that. And you can do the same thing with movies. If you want new original content, just Google.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of cool
Whether
stuff
it's
that came out.
original or adapted from something else, I think ultimately all of us just want something that's really good and very fun and interesting and life-changing. Yes.
Piggybacking on that, it's like what's something that either an adaptation coming up or something that you want to see adapted that you haven't heard about it being adapted that y'all would like to see, like it be it a book series, a fairy tale, a comic.
I want a new Buckaroo Banzai personally.
Buckaroo Banzai.
Oh man, I would kill for that.
I agree.
It's like it's like
For me, I would like to see like a little mini series on Netflix, or like an animated mini series on Netflix about the Eltonville Club.
Oh, I love that comic. I would love to see that actually, because you know they did that pilot on Adult Swim back in the day,
Yeah.
and it didn't catch on, so they kind of threw it by the wayside. But I'd love to actually try to revisit that and bring it out as a series.
Yeah, I don't enough catch that when I was like, it was like it was right at the end of the episode when they were fighting over the Boba Fett figure.
Yeah.
And I was like maybe like 7, 8 around that time, so really I had no idea what it was really about until I eventually researched it and figured out what it was, and I ended up seeing the full thing. And honestly, I mean, like I sort of, I was able to read the full comic online, and honestly, it shares. I think it's interesting how the guy who created it, Evan Dorkin, he created that based on his own personal experiences with fandom, and that's, and in some cases, I mean, it kind of hits close to home, because I mean, somewhere out there's bound to be someone like the Eltingville Club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's us.
It's unfortunate.
Oh no,
I'm just kidding.
You know, he kind of uses that comic book to show like the darker side of fandom, so I really don't want to be that.
Yeah, we're just kidding. We're just kidding.
I agree with you, because actually I want to see more miniseries out there. I mean, it seems like you don't see as many of them nowadays. You know?
Yeah.
Even a lot of those cheesy Stephen King adaptions that were on like CBS or whatever, or it was ABC.
TV movies. Yeah.
They should have been on the Family Channel.
I thought The Stand was okay.
They're redoing The Stand.
Yeah, I know, but I thought the
Yeah.
original miniseries was all
The
right.
first episode is so good,
Mm-hmm.
and then it just becomes like a Hallmark movie, man.
I guess towards the end it gets a little weird.
Yeah. It's
think
like
that-
the first half of it is so strong, and then the second
It
half
falls
is
off
just,
a little.
just-
You know, I mean, I
even
still
with John
appreciate
Ritter,
it
man,
for
it
what
just
it
kinda-
was.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Pumped for this new one though, I guess.
Oh man.
Amazon does a lot of limited series like that.
Oh, Good Omens looks like a
they're
good
starting
one.
to do
Yeah,
it.
Good
they're
Omens.
starting to
Omens
do
looks
it.
good.
A poll that they just put out, Amazon Prime Video, they just put out a poll the other day. It's like, hey, it was like, we know you like adapted works, and it's like we have several adapted works coming up, and it was like Good Omens, the Lord of the Rings, they're doing a Second Age series, and then there's another one, and then there was Wheel of Time, and they put out a poll, and it was like, which are you most excited about?
Wheel of Time.
And yeah, they're making a Wheel of Time. They've already scripted, but the Wheel of Time won that poll, like crushed it. It was like,
Jack gonna be in it?
Time
traveling?
that would be cool. It was like they won it by like 40%. It was just like crushed Lord of the Rings, which I did not see coming, because it's one of the most successful franchises ever.
I think Wheel of Time's an easier read.
Outstanding The Hobbit, and it's like Wheel of Time
Oh,
is
yeah.
14 books long, and then and then it just crushed Lord of the Rings, and that's why I was super surprised to see that, and I'm super hyped for that because I love that series so much.
Well, isn't there kind of like a little bit of resentment about the Lord of the Rings series getting made on Amazon? Because from what I've been gathering, there's been during between that when it was announced, and especially during the times when the Hobbit movies were coming out, I remember there was this whole situation regarding the whole thing in New Zealand called the Hobbit Law.
Mm-hmm.
And but basically the point is they're not going to use the New Zealand locations for the Lord of the Rings series.
Yeah.
And they're mostly probably going to be doing like somewhere like in the Hollywood backlots.
Yeah, probably a big green screen.
It was like they've
Yeah.
used Scotland and what's the coast for like Game of Thrones, like big sweeping things. They've used those locations as well. That's why it was like, oh no, New Zealand's out. We'll have to find somewhere else for Rohan.
I mean, Stephen just mentioned the treatment of like this workers' treatment and everything else like that.
I can't imagine it was great knowing Hollywood industry.
Again, that's the reason why people are sort of resented of back in the day.
Yeah.
Anybody here seen Captain Marvel yet?
My brother did yesterday.
Did y'all like it? I loved it. I thought it was amazing. Brooks liked it, right?
Yeah.
You guys haven't seen it
I
yet?
haven't seen it yet.
No.
Spoilers?
I'm fine.
I'm just kidding.
I was about to say, I think you'll upset the room more.
Yeah,
than
I'm
me.
just kidding.
I don't think everybody raised their hand on that one.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't
out.
think we'll do this.
Anybody else got a question? Brian, maybe? No? Okay, come back to you. You gonna think about it?
Yeah, I need to think about it.
Clark?
Follow-up question.
Yes.
So I'd like to see what your thoughts are on taking an existing character and putting a respin on the character so that you change gender, ethnicity, something like that, versus taking a new character that might have, more variable backgrounds.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on what I think maybe grading or repositioning an existing intellectual property?
I'm usually pretty much cool with that. I think it's pretty cool. when you do something like that, you bring attention to it, first of all. And so Miles Morales being Spider-Man instead of just his own character makes people know that this is Spider-Man. And then I think that we should have the stories reflect the diversity that we see in society. And when you read comic books for as long as as we have, you realize that everything just comes and goes. It's everything, nothing is permanent. It's going to go back. Jane Foster was not going to be Thor the entire time, but that Thor run was exceptional. It was so good. So as long as the content is of high quality, I love stuff like that. I loved when Falcon was Captain America. I thought it was well deserved. I thought it was time for something like that. I like seeing, because I work at a comic book store, and I like seeing the look on like a young kid's face to be like, look, I could be Spider-Man. I could be Miss Marvel. I love seeing stuff like that. So I really like it when they do it and they do it well, and I like to see the stories reflect the diversity in society. What do you guys think?
I just actually finished reading Miss Marvel, Kamala Khan. I really enjoyed it.
It's
I thought
so
it was
good.
really good. I was like, man, I was surprised by how good it is actually. So I'm okay with, as long as it's done tastefully, I think it's okay. Like it's not kind of just shoehorned in there to just boost sales. I think it's okay if it's done that way.
Because when they create new characters, very rarely do those new characters last. Like they've made a lot of characters that are women or people of color that just kind of fall by the wayside and they don't really get utilized. But when they make Jane Foster Thor or they make Miles Morales Spider-Man, it makes a bigger deal. That's already a legacy. And I like the superhero legacy idea. So one of the reasons why I love DC is because there's been multiple Flashes. There's been multiple Green Lanterns. And I thought that was Marvel, especially a few years ago, that was their attempt to kind of build out a legacy, more of a legacy for their heroes. Like I had no problem with Jane Foster being Thor, just like I didn't have a problem with Eric Masterson being Thor. So.
One of the big things in the news right now is who's going to be the next James Bond. That's a huge, a lot of people are getting really upset at the idea of having a black James Bond or a female James Bond. And at first I was like, it's the same guy. What guy? I don't know. But then, over the years they've tried to modernize him, and it's not the 60s anymore. And I don't really see there being a problem with a female James Bond. Or
I was really on board with Idris Elba.
Idris Elba
I would
as
love
James
that.
Bond.
I would probably care more about James Bond if it was Idris Elba. Like really, I would get more into it.
The other
This is fine.
was Cillian Murphy. I was like, I'd see a Cillian Murphy one too. So I was
Idris Elba
yeah.
could be in anything.
You should have a DJ scene at some point.
He's going to be a Deadshot.
Deadshot, I know.
Although he was in Dark Tower, so
I still haven't watched it.
Ooh, yeah, that was a little rough.
Yeah, I'm near the end of Wolves of Caliban. That book's taken me like a year and a half to read.
It's a rough read.
It's a little dull.
I'm telling you, that's why when people list their favorite fantasy series, it's like, nope, Dark Tower ain't mine.
Yeah, Wizard of the Glass is hard to get through.
That one was fine for me. Wolves of Cal is a little too Magnificent Seven. It gets too slow when they're telling all the story. Anyway, I digress. David.
I got to point out one thing.
Okay.
There are still barriers that have yet to be broken. There is nobody talking about an old fat James Bond.
I think that's cute.
Bring Sean Connery back for that, right?
Yeah, they can bring something.
I did have a question for you though.
Yeah.
Going back to streaming services. Everybody's doing their own streaming service now.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got one launching next month.
Yeah. How long do you think the industry can sustain this before it collapses? Because people just can't afford to pay, $8, $9, $10 a month just to watch one or two shows that they're really interested in.
I think it will be fine because I think what a lot of people do is share passwords. You're like, I'll get Hulu, you get Disney Plus, you get Netflix, we'll just share the password.
Yeah, as long as you can allow like a limited or at least a max amount of devices using the content at the same time. Because WWE Network, we got like 10 people using the same account. Like it's like Netflix, like you'll have an entire.
Is it okay to say that on
using
video?
The same one, on the same profile.
Not anymore.
I mean, to tell you the truth, that was.
Yes, it is. I think that it is a little silly. Like so many people are trying to get into it. They see that Netflix and Hulu have had success. That being said, I got really pumped the other day when Disney Plus was like, "Oh, all of our movies are going to be on our streaming service."
Yeah.
Like, oh, okay,
That's going to be pretty fire.
Me. I'm down.
Yeah.
I kind of think this is what people wanted though. Like they kind of wanted an a la carte approach to content. So this is just where we are now. People don't want cable packages nowadays. I think they want to be able to pick and choose what they want.
Yeah,
and this is what's
even
being
things like
offered.
Sling TV and stuff I think is awesome.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
Was it PlayStation View? That's pretty okay.
Yeah, I would love it if we could just pick a channel and be like, okay, $3 a month for ESPN, $2 a month for
Yeah.
Food Network.
Well, it's about to come back around full circle, and we'll have packages of streaming services that you can buy,
Yeah.
just like cable used to be.
Yeah.
I hate,
Oh, man.
I hate cable companies like Comcast and stuff, so I'd rather do this. I'd rather pay like $5-10 a month for stuff I actually want to see than like for $200 a month for like something I may watch for an hour a day.
Cut the cable is
Yeah.
what we said.
Yeah.
Cut that cable.
It's like,
Cut the
it'd
cable.
be
Cable
cheaper to
sucks.
pay for those individually than this whole cable bill anyway.
Yeah.
But it's cool.
You know, when they're all like $8-9 a pop.
Yeah.
And
How
Well,
much is the cable? The average cable bill? How much is the average cable bill?
How much
Like,
do we pay for cable?
When we had
yeah, over 100.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
I'm not even close to that. I have
for
like 4
6
streaming
years.
services.
I had Charter for 6 years, and last year around this time, I cut the cable out of it and just kept the internet. And some channels on DirecTV we got now, but the internet package and all the channel, like the gold package with HBO and Showtime, Stars and everything, was like $210 a month.
It's like an HBO Go. Is what, $5
It's
a month?
$15 a month on my Hulu.
Yeah, and you get Hulu.
Yeah.
And like for instance, right now I pay $1 a month for Hulu because I got the Black Friday sale. That was the best investment ever. I've been watching nothing but Hell's Kitchen for like the last 3 weeks.
man.
It's raw. It's great stuff. Great stuff.
An
Do you
idiot
have a question?
sandwich.
Well, I think one thing is that just a little input regarding the whole streaming service thing. I know for one thing that I have 2 Apple TVs and 1 Roku. Now, the thing about it is we used to have a uterus at one point. But according to my dad, his reasoning for wanting to get rid of it is because, again, the cable, having to pay for so much and such, and given how we didn't want to put up with that, we mostly decided just to fully switch to like streaming boxes. And since then, we kind of had to cut down on a few things, and like mostly when it came to like the WWE network, because I was really busy with school and such, we had to get rid of that. We had to get rid of Netflix at one point in order to save down the cost, and Netflix will eventually let us get those things. But I think now, especially because I've been taking personal finance classes to basically how to handle my money and such, and then I'm trying to see how I can basically help bring in the income so that way I can help pay for like the stuff that we have for entertainment and such. So yeah, I mean, in a way, I guess there is a big concern about whether or not the bubble will potentially burst, but I think the best thing companies can do right now is think smart, which works in theory, but execution-wise, that tends to be troublesome.
It's all just shifting and changing, and I think the whole streaming service, like Justin was saying, where they're going to start doing packages, I think it's all still evolving, and I think it's going to evolve some better. And also, we can be smart consumers, and you can like have Netflix for 2 months, absorb a bunch of stuff there, and then cancel your Netflix, move on to CBS All Access to watch Star Trek or something, and then Netflix is like, oh my goodness,
Then
we'll give you this
HBO.
discounted rate if you come back, and all kinds of stuff like that. So play the system,
Yeah.
break it.
I
Can't
do
do it,
have a
okay.
question, by the way.
Okay.
I was wondering if you guys ever kept up with this lately. Have you guys heard some things recently about the Sonic the Hedgehog movie?
Oh man,
Oh yeah.
I've seen those pictures.
Oh yeah. I've seen it.
Why does everybody got such a problem with this, with the way it looks?
It's because he
It
looks
looks
like
creepy.
a
looks
heavily
scary.
muscled youth.
Yeah.
he-
What do you think he's gonna look like?
I don't know.
He's a hedgehog.
But better than that, something else.
I couldn't share
But he's shaped like a dude.
I'll take anything other than
He's-
basically a guy's body that's covered in fur with Sonic's head, like copy pasting on top of it.
I don't have a problem. I think it looks fine. Yeah, that looks fine.
I mean, I kind
What's
of share
wrong with
the
that?
same sentiment with Ian Flynn on this one, is that no matter what, in the end, the only thing that really sort of matters to most people is that they're just still going to be keeping on arguing about who's considered to be the best ideal Sonic.
Yeah.
Great.
And really,
Idris Elba.
Idris Elba. Okay, I'll watch Sonic for that. That's
I'll
fine.
watch the hell out of it.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
and really,
Do you have something, Paul?
Well, I was just gonna say, I think I don't understand why the industry doesn't do more good animated movies and not these live action or super realistic ultra CGI things. Like,
Did you like Spider-Verse, for
like
instance?
Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why they're scared. They could have been making a dozen amazing Spider-Man movies, but instead they want to do the live action ones. I mean, I think it's better animated. You know, like
Yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog movie. Why don't they do just
do an animated
It's
film,
mainly
yeah.
CGI too. That's I'd rather it be kind of like animated like that because I mean a bunch of like the best Batman movies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Return of the Joker, Mask of the Phantasm, Sub-Zero.
These can be successes in the theater. I don't know why they're scared.
Yeah, they could even be Academy Award-winning films. Like
Yeah.
Into the Spider-Verse was better than
Yeah.
any live-action comic book movie I've seen in a long, long time.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
love that
I
movie. It
will
was
say,
so good.
at the
Soundtrack
same
was
time,
fire.
they tried to do like an
Yeah.
animated video
It
game
really
movie
was.
with Ratchet and Clank, and they actually released it in theaters. Surprising, it didn't do well.
I kind
And
of
it was
forgot
like,
about
even
it.
though it was just the first game.
I guess
it
one
was
of the
pretty
things
much
too is that people still have this idea in their head that because it's animated, then it's for kids.
Yeah.
You know, and maybe that's something that the studios, they want a more diverse audience. But something like Into the Spider-Verse totally proves that wrong. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, they have yet to tap into it or tap back into it.
I mean, in a way, a lot of people wanted Steven Universe to go into theaters, but really it was only made with the intention of being a TV movie, which I guess if there's one thing about it is that it often goes into this issue about, is this like a movie that I can only see for free on TV, or is it going to do more with these characters, with the story, with the whole overall setting, than what it can do on TV? Because I mean, that seemed to be one of the reasons why you see a lot of these movies in the early 2000s, like they were all based off of a cartoon property.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem was, when Disney started doing it, they ended up damaging the brand because of it. And this eventually kind of led to the sentiment about if 2D animated movies are even worth going to anymore. So when you end up saturating the market with this kind of stuff, it only just ends up bursting, and then eventually you're kind of left with this overall feeling of what can we really do with 2D animation now, even though it seems to be thriving on TV. And that's the problem, because the thing was, they didn't really think much about, hey, why don't we try to, like, take the SpongeBob movie, for instance. I mean, when you look at that compared to its sequel, the movie had there was a lot of like, emotional depth or conflict to the main character, which compared to like in the second movie's plot, it was mostly like something that might be like a collage of episodes of the one.
Yeah. And you know, we were talking about like DC, you know, they recently had success with Aquaman, and of course Wonder Woman's well received, but people have been loving their animated films. Why have they never tried to like move those into the theater? Because they're super popular, and Spider-Verse made it look, Spider-Verse, the animation was so different, so unique, and so fresh and vibrant and energetic and fun, that it was something unique and different. And DC could do something like that. 100%.
Have any of you guys seen Batman Ninja?
No, I haven't.
No, I haven't.
I was about to say, you want to talk about wild animation. I think that just because it was Batman and because there's like an anime spin on it, I think they could have made a decent amount in theaters. And that whole movie was wacky, and it's like, but it was fun. That's the thing. It's like something like that can work for any of these things because about a month ago, Dragon Ball Z, it's a huge franchise. They had a movie released at the Monaco. That theater was packed. You're telling me you couldn't make any movie with any one of these characters and release it in theaters and get it just that packed? Because and it's like I was like peak age for when DBZ came on TV, but there were kids like 10 years old. It's like, you tell me you can't do that with another TV series?
Dragon Ball's popular, as we found out today.
Oh man, yeah, no.
I think there's still people in line right now. They'll be here tomorrow.
Honestly, I mean, like, I would have loved to see a Steven Universe movie in theaters because I can guarantee you the biggest prediction of what you would see in that theater room is a bunch of tissues laying everywhere because of how much of a tearjerker it was. That's how much potential I could see if they were to do the actual movie.
Anybody else?
I think a lot of companies,
Jeremie.
I think a lot of companies or production studios, when it comes to like traditional cell animated movies, they're a little more apprehensive about approaching that because it's more expensive to animate, first of all. And if that movie flops, that's all that money out of there. They don't get anything back from that. I mean, like I said, I think they're
Plus
just
the money they pay for the distribution.
Yeah, it's just a lot to lose for something that like potentially just.
So I
might
guess
not
we
succeed.
needed something like Spider-Verse to be
Yeah, let's show
as
them what's
successful
up.
as it
Pop
was. Yeah.
somebody in the mouth and be like, hey, go watch animation.
Yes, Mr. Hatch.
Please.
David Hatch, by the way, is our #1 fan.
That's good.
That is a good thing.
I think Robbie Honeybucks say that.
Yep, he did. Thank you.
Jeez, when's this medal ceremony?
Next year.
Number one for Justin, what have you got in the works now with your acting career?
Oh.
The other question, because Brooks hadn't said anything all day, what is your favorite movie and why?
My
so
favorite.
Either one go first.
Go ahead.
My favorite movie is probably Return of the King. That's the movie that I think that, like, it's an emotional roller coaster for me because, like, the books, the source material was something that was really close to me when I was like younger, and something I really enjoyed, and like watching through those movies, and like I enjoyed them so much, and that movie in particular just like had all the you know, the feels I needed from a Lord of the Rings movie. Like, and I thought, you know, a lot of people didn't complain, you know, it was too long, you know, the endings were long, but when I watched it, I was like, man, you don't even know how bad those endings could have been. Like, they didn't even do the Scouring of the Shire. God. It was like, that's it? Like, they just meet in the bar and that's it? I'm like, no, but yeah, that was, there you go. Return of the King, #1 movie.
What about you, Justin? What's up with your acting career?
Actually, 3 weeks ago, I got a little over a month ago, I booked my first union job as an actor, and 3 weeks ago was on set in Nashville for a feature film by a director who won I forget which award at Sundance last year.
Okay.
And I've got the last few lines in the movie. But there's a feature film that's supposed to be done by this guy I know in Florence later this year. I haven't heard back from him for a while, but I've actually got an audition to film today when I get home for a musical.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Do you have
find
singing
somebody to come
lines?
over and read the music for me.
Do you have singing lines in this?
Yeah. It's a Western.
A Western musical?
Yeah.
Hang Your Wagon 2.
Okay, well, I'll get a quick follow-up. Do you think the Alabama Film Commission is effectively bringing any filmmaking to Alabama?
They are.
They
but
made
not
Space Camp.
There's been a lot of. My buddy Danny works in Birmingham now, full time, pretty much on studio projects. There was a movie down there with Josh Brolin last year.
Billy Zane was in Florence a year ago.
There's all kinds of stuff in Florence too. They're filming Johnny Depp is producing a show about Muscle Shoals that's supposed to start this year, I think. And they filmed that movie about bodylifting in the 80s, weight building.
This is what they do?
Yeah,
Man,
There's some arm movement involved.
Yeah, they're not doing anywhere near
Yeah, I
as
lift
much as
bros.
they could.
That's what
They're stuck between Tennessee and Georgia, which have huge scenes. Is the part of the problem too.
Well,
It's like we're gonna look bad by comparison.
When I was in Nashville for that audition, I heard somebody say that they were breaking ground this month or next month on a giant 12 studio lot in Nashville. So they've got a lot of production facilities up there. Not so much in Alabama. It's just on location stuff, and then there's not really places to build sets here.
I know they got a huge green screen down in Jacksonville State. It's like one of the largest in the South, but they don't use it for anything.
We're better than Mississippi. That's the party line. It's like that's always been the party line.
good.
And Mississippi is some other one that's getting some real weather, so.
Oh, yeah.
Did you think of something
Bizarro
yet, Brian?
Alabama.
Oh my goodness, look at Brian's shirt.
Oh! Sorry about that.
That's awesome.
This is more advice I'm asking. I just found out yesterday, you know the Danzig skull?
Cut your cable. Nothing. Go ahead. Sorry.
Do you know the Danzig skull? You know Danzig, the band?
Yeah.
Mother,
That
that's
skull? I just found out yesterday that Mike Golden created that in the
What?
Star comic, like in the 80s, and has gotten no credit.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. And so I was wondering, I mean, should I bring that up to him or like? is
Yeah,
that-
totally. Bring it up and
bring up the
just,
sore
yeah,
subject.
yeah, do that. Oh, by the way, will you sign my Danzig CD?
But you got no credit for it.
Yeah, my wife suggested that too. But
Really?
Basically tried to pull your middle finger.
Is it the Danzig skull or the Misfit skull?
That's crazy.
It's
Yeah.
Misfits, right?
I hear Danzig's a terrible person.
Oh yeah, he is.
I really liked it when he bought Carl's house.
Yes. Can you make the blood go up the walls?
Yeah.
He's kind of short too. He's not kind of short. He's like 5'6".
Yeah.
So he's got like short guy syndrome.
He almost looked tall in that episode. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's because they animated him that way. He probably asked for it. He's like, don't make me look short.
He legitimately answered the question. That's how they animated it. They just drew it that way.
I really like when like comic book creators help with like CD covers, because some of my favorite covers, Greg Capullo did a bunch for Ice Earth, and it's like because they did an album about Spawn.
Oh, the Dark Saga classic.
Tom McFarlane did Follow the Leader.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can tell them.
Jamie Hewlett from Tank Girl did all of the gorillas on it.
Yeah.
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 Speaking of Spawn, are they doing a limited series for that too?
No,
There's a movie coming out with Jamie Foxx.
Todd McFarlane's directing it.
Yeah, but he keeps like clashing with the studio over the script
I'm sure.
because
Yeah.
McFarlane thinks he's a writer. Which
if you've read Spawn, you're not too sure about
Yeah,
that.
it's I don't know. It's like about
That's why he
50-50.
had the rotating writers come in and just do a few every couple of years.
All right, it is time for us to wrap up. Sadly, we really do appreciate everything. So, does anybody have one final question we got to get in? Absolutely. You deserve it.
Okay, so
Now he's on the spot. So, last question.
So, my friend was talking about this in high school, and this is basically a theory that he came up with, and I even know how long he's basically the only one who agrees with this. Okay, so the theory goes, given how Captain Marvel has already been the leader, talked about thinking about the existence regarding the scrolls, and how they actually have the ability to impersonate anybody. Marvel believes that someone in Endgame is basically a scroll. And that person is Don Cheadle.
He does look different than he used to.
Yeah.
Because
Clarence Howard?
like, he basically thinks he might be the scroll based on one certain factor. In Civil War, he ended up breaking his back, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And apparently, given how we don't really quite get a time frame of how long he recovered from that, it almost seemed like he ended up recovering instantly from it.
Yeah, he ain't back.
Well, he does have the.
Yeah,
he's got that.
cybernetic
gave him
leg
like
thing.
the super robot leg.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a brace.
Yeah.
If anything, I would think it'd be like Bruce Banner, right?
I think it's Hawkeye. That's why they don't use him.
My point is, like, he thinks he might be a scroll, and I kind of wonder if he's the only one who thinks that. Like, do you guys really think that it might be true?
I don't think.
I don't think they're smart enough to do it. I don't think that
Shots
go from
fired.
Thanos right into a secret invasion. I don't think that they can do it.
Yeah, I don't think they're building into that way. I think after they wrap up this whole Thanos thing, they're gonna go full board into Galactus.
Yeah.
Is what I believe.
I'm kind of curious. I mean, now I'm kind of curious because I know that now that with the Fox merger happening, we could begin their own interpretations of X-Men and Fantastic Four.
Well, we will get to
I need a
Ain't
Starjammers
no
movie.
fight.
I like to see their interpretations of
Yeah.
those characters.
Oh yeah, Surfer. Oh, it's gonna be great. I'm excited.
I need a Starjammers movie. That'd be super cool.
Yeah.
I need the Guardians crossover and everything.
That would be fun.
Yeah, I'm ready for a Kree Skrull war movie. That'd be super dope too.
Thank you guys so much for joining us here at the panel. You can find us on YouTube at Pop Culture Philosophers. You can find us on Twitter at The Rockin' Robbie, at The PCP Show. You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/PCP, and on our website, which it's not down there because we're not at the
We didn't
booth.
bring the sheet.
PopCulturePhilosophers.com. Podcast comes back at the beginning of May, right after Endgames, with superhero movies. We're very, very excited to bring the podcast back, aren't we?
Yes.
Super excited, and be sure to join us over at our booth where we got some awesome PCP mystery boxes with some great prizes and potential high-dollar comics inside. So thank you guys so much. Give yourself a hand. We are PCP, and we deucing. You dig?
Can you dig it?
Also, check out his cereal reviews. They're great. Yeah.
Cereal.